here they are, pegs. Real simple to take off. They just get Axel to watch too. He's a safety inspector. Just loosen them up, spin them off. Well, it's just decent sized thread, so it's got a lot of purchase. Won't strip so easy, and it's just got a little clamp. Pegs are just knurled. It's just regular aluminum 6061. Drilled it out, just get rid of some of the weight, knurled it, and then just used a radius tool, and looks like every 1/4 inch, put a radius, to kind of give you a little more purchase on your feet. But that's the peg, and then the axle. Oh, let me get by here real quick. Let me get this other one off here real quick. Then the axle was the other thing. We had to make the axle, obviously, and the nuts to accept the pegs. So I'll show you that next. Pull off the chain just to make it a little easier. So much trouble getting the master link off before I'm alive. Try not to pinch the O-rings in there when you're doing that. If you're gonna jam a screwdriver in there. Should keep the O-rings on there. There. Get it onto there. And then the nuts are basically the nut in the thread, the nut and the thread for the thread that this screws on. I had to basically make a nut and the thread together, but it's pretty easy to take this on and off. And then we gave you plenty of thread because it's a small thread, and there's, I just like stuff to be overbuilt, so we put a whole lot of thread on there. That way when you wrench down on this, it's got a whole lot of thread to grab onto, and it's not going to strip near as easy as if it was just a little bit of thread. But basically, I'll just pull the whole thing out so you can see the axle. So that's basically it. I actually single pointed these threads instead of running a die. Instead of taking a typical die, a die which people typically use to turn threads on a shaft. Instead of that, I took there's a reason for all this. I ain't trying to be fancy. It's just I wanted the threads to be nice and tight. On a lathe, you can single point, and we single pointed these threads. So I basically cut this thread in here with just a regular tap, and then we took and single pointed this thread to fit that thread really snug. Again, so we wouldn't be stripping things out. It is an axle. It is an axle for a motorcycle, basically. So basically that's it. It's got the little race on it and everything for the stock or the stock receivers over there for the chain tensioners. But that's pretty much it. And once it's all in there, just the pegs screw onto there to wherever you want them. Try to get the whole thread, all the threads engaged. So basically, that's it. If anybody out there wants to copy it, go ahead. I don't care. Enjoy. I hope it works out for you. But I've already literally beat the living piss out of this thing. It's already taken one good, not a good wreck, but a little bit of a wreck, and at the skate park, so I didn't really beat it up too bad. We'll get some riding footage too at some point. But anyways, that's the peg setup. I don't know. I guess we should put it back together for him.
Yeah.
So it's just like the other axle. I just leave one of these things off and leave the other one on.
So if people wanted to buy these, where could they get these at?
Well, if they want me to make a set of them, now listen, I'll tell you right now, all this stuff is handmade in that lathe, and this takes a long time. And my average shop rate is $125 an hour. But I don't know, if I got an order for say 50 of them or something like that, I could probably get them down to get the axle and the pegs down to probably somewhere around 175 for a kit. But if you wanted me to make one set for you right now, it would probably be about 350. If I had to just make one. It's better if I make a bunch of things instead of just one. The first part on any machine project takes the longest because you got to set the machines up and get everything the tooling worked out. But after you get the tooling worked out, it's easier to make the second one, and if you make the third one, it gets cheaper and easier, and by the time you get to the 10th one, everything's pretty cheap. So if I had a whole bunch of orders, if I had 10 orders, 15, 20 orders, something like that, we could probably get them down to about 175 a piece.
Yeah. We could always do pre-orders too.
Yeah, we probably could. Should watch what I'm saying. Shit, next thing you know, we'll have all kinds of work doing that, and then all my canneries and everybody else I do work for will be pissed off at me. But yeah, we can make some if need be. This is the first set. This is just the prototype, so who knows? You might get a revision that'll either be a whole lot better. Typically revisions are better. Sometimes they suck, but I can take criticism. So if somebody doesn't like what I did, I like criticism because it refines things. But anyways, putting it back together, it's not so hard. Everything's already kind of in place, but I just leave one on. The shaft, this thing is turned too, so it's really, really close to the tolerances. I don't like things rattling around. And this whole race right here seats right in there real nice. And then want part of the shaft out. And I guess on the other side, pretty much, you come around over here, you just, put the other nut back on. Yeah, I'm kind of old school. I don't like metric too much, so I use standard sizes. So this is, I think it's what, 5/8? Yeah, it's 5/8. So pretty much, I'll leave these loose because I got to put the chain back on, and I'm not going to bore you guys with that. Everybody knows how to put a chain on, I'd imagine, around here. So then these go back on, just screw them on. Like I said, if you want to copy this, man, go right ahead. I don't care. Get rich off it, man. I hope you get rich. So yeah, this is on the wrong side. That's the other thing we did, is just in case for some reason something happens, you get this thing all jacked up in here, like this gets stuck in here, you can get a socket down inside there and get it out. Now let's see if I eat my words, because I haven't tested it yet. This could be a revision coming up here. I'm pretty sure. Here's another little interesting tool tip. If you look down inside there, you know, there's not a whole lot of space between the nut and the wall. And a lot of times people neglect to remember that a 12 point and a 6 point socket are dramatically different on the wall thicknesses. So if you got a real tight fit, you want to get a socket to go down into a really tight fit, go for your 12 point socket. The wall thickness is typically a little thinner. And you know, the other thing is if you got a nut that's on there really hardcore, you want to use the 6 point because, you know, it won't break as easy. These will break easier. But, oh, I'm a machinist and look. Actually, I'm not even a machinist. I'm a really good apprentice that's been doing this for 30 years. The real machinists are the old guys that were building stuff in the 60s and 70s. Those were real machinists. The slide rule, they had to deal with the slide rule engineers. So anyways, yeah, that was stuck in there because I single pointed these again and I wanted them super tight. So this peg actually should go over on the other side because it fits better. That's another part of having prototype stuff is everything's getting worked out still on the first part. This one will go on over here pretty easy, I think. Yeah. All right, and I just get it kind of to where the peg isn't touching the adjuster. There's still a little gap. This little gap right here. Yeah, grab this. There's a gap right here between the peg and the adjuster. You don't want to adjust it all the way down to where it's touching that. You kind of want to stay away from that a little bit if you can help it. Let's see if I screw it up here. I did. Yeah, there's too much of that. Too much of the axle sticking out. Flies. All right, and then that's pretty much it. And just put these babies back on and then let's see where the hell is it. Just that one little bolt right there will clamp you down pretty good. The nut isn't tight, that's why it's still turning, but actually I want to leave the nut loose because I got to put the chain on. I'm not going to bore them with that. But anyways, that's pretty much the axle setup there. I'll adjust it later. Oh, just leave the fucking chain off. That'll work. I think that's it, man.
Yeah.